Not just when your own narrow interest is at stake.
Obama is a Muslim, he's a terrorist.
Trump's top choice for the top diplomats.
I said Islamic extremist terrorism. You know who you are. There's no black America.
Is this a coincidence that my last video touched on racism? That's because some white chick on YouTube criticized some other whitey for using the N-word.
All these white people are crying about the N-word.
And then he found out that she used the N-word a couple of years back. Then he showed up with one of her meet and greets and caused one of the biggest YouTube dramas ever.
25 minutes of this bitch complaining about how somebody said the N-word at her show and she ran off crying and he was trying to choke her.
If you're tired of arguing with strangers on the internet, try talking with one of them in real life.
Nah, I don't think so. I heard about something in the news with the Black Lives Matter movement. The co-founder of Black Lives Matter Toronto division said that white people were subhuman. Actually, that was months back. She tweeted, "Please Allah, don't let me kill these men and white people today." So I said, okay, I'm going to make that racism video. I'm not one of those people who say all lives matter, because I know that those people deny that racism exists. And they say that to marginalize people who say Black Lives Matter, make them look selfish or something.
There's no black America. There's no white America. There is just America.
His chief strategist.
Steve Bannon's motto is,
Honey Badger don't give a.
Here's the words of our new National Security Advisor, General Flynn.
Flynn writes, I don't believe all cultures are morally equivalent. Flynn's fear of Muslims is rational.
Trump's top choice for the top diplomats.
I said Islamic extremist terrorism. You know who you are.
This is actually a universal problem, interspecies.
He has a following among the alt-right, among white nationalists.
I'm the CEO of Breitbart News. Breitbart is infamous for writing articles that are misogynistic, anti-Semitic, and outright racist. And former KKK wizard David Duke called the choice excellent.
Here's a couple women in public office. It'll be refreshing to have a classy, beautiful, dignified First Lady back in the White House. I'm tired of seeing an ape in heels. A classy, beautiful, dignified First Lady.
There's an article on the Huffington Post about this co-founder in Toronto. And the author pointed out that he was white and male. And he used the term white-splaining, which is the first time I ever heard that term. I recently heard the term mansplaining, so I can understand what white-splaining means. And I got a few things to explain myself, because I'm white. But don't get me wrong, I support Black Lives Matter. I even have many videos against bigotry, cops, Trump, and the NRA. Yeah, and I'm white. And male. The author said that white-splaining is a word designed to get white people to shut up about racial issues. It's a part of the lexicon among some activists that doesn't serve the greater good, which is supposed to be justice and equality for everyone. Now, the reason I knew what that term meant without ever seeing it before is because I know the term mansplaining, which is when men explain something to a woman, and either the man is being patronizing for some reason, supposedly because he's a man and he thinks he's superior, but that was 60 years ago. I think today it's mostly that the woman still has it in her head that men are like this because of feminism teaching them that. So yeah, similar thing here with all the isms, back to racism. You could say that white-splaining is when white people talk about so-called black issues when they're not black. They're white, see? Hence the term white-splaining. Now in my last video, the black dude that I put in it, he said some stuff along these lines about the white chick who used the N-word. This white chick went on to make a long video on how she's a Black Lives Matter advocate. His name is Oscar. So here's what Oscar said.
I'm not going to sit there and watch a white woman preach about equality. I don't know why anyone wanted to watch a white bitch complain about the N-word for 20 minutes. She's crying like someone called her a nigga. She's not black.
Now here's where I disagree. Yes, I know I'm white, but hear me out. Sure, we have different perspectives because we have a different experience, but I think that all voices matter. What I really disagreed with was he said that white people shouldn't be activists for Black Lives Matter. Here's part of his logic.
Here and choose to make us feel like fucking babies. We can talk about ourselves. We're black, not 6.
Now that's logical, and I understand what he's getting at. But well, look at how well black people are doing with their activism to get social justice. Black people are only 13% of the U.S., while white people more like 60%. So why would you not want the help of the majority of the United States? And the government is almost all white. Do you not want their help either? Because they're the ones that are going to make a lot of the change. And if you want to get more black people into government, well, you're going to need the voters, because this is a system of voting, which we just found out recently. You can't get black people into office without white people voting for them. Now back to the article on Huffington Post, written by that white guy. Now I like to read the comments. There's a good mix of views, some debate. One person said, another white man telling radicalized people what to do. What a surprise. It is the white privilege of people like Mr. Fiore that leads to the very militancy that he finds offensive. Instead of spending valuable blog time telling groups like Black Lives Matter how to run their organization, why not concentrate on the systematic and overwhelming violence that your white peers are committing against black lives? There is so much wrong with this. Your white peers? Okay, that is racist because it groups people by race. Now here's a good time to explain racism. Seriously, that's right. I was thinking about this before I heard of the story, when the N-word controversy was going on. I was thinking, you never hear people explain what racism is. Only when you understand the definition do you realize how stupid it is. It's just an ignorant way of thinking. I've never heard this on TV, never heard it anywhere. So here it goes. I'm going to explain it now. It's only too bad that my channel isn't huge, because this would go viral. But you can help make it go viral. I'll talk about that later. As a white person, I've been around racism my whole life, and I've always found it flawed. This is what happens in the mind of a racist person. They see or hear about a different race doing bad things, things that are different from what they see in other races, especially their own. And this is a matter of culture, not about skin color. We have a cultural problem in the United States. It's also human nature to do this. It's a animalistic protective system. It's meant to warn you to keep away from animals who are different or display scary, dangerous behavior. But the problem with that is that we don't live in nature. We live in a man-made society, and the reason white people find black people scary is of what they see on the news. They're in the news more often. I guess they commit more crimes and stuff like that, but that's because of our culture. It is not black nature. It's because of black people's position in our racist society that started off with black people being slaves. And you can trace what's going on now right back to there. You can't just erase history and start over with a clean slate. And also, people like to have an enemy, and it's someone who's like the opposite of themselves.
And just like animals, they are wired to pick something out that is visual or otherwise superficial. Animals are wired that way. And in nature, this usually works really well. It does protect animals.
And also, to put it simply, people are really stupid. And all this reminds me of the relationship between humans and other species. Now forget about pets for a minute, and think about how we treat farm animals, the ones we use for meat, milk, and eggs. You would think we treat these animals better, because, well, they don't give us any trouble, they're innocent. Now, I've been a vegan for 23 years, so I know a lot about this, and I can just come out with confidence and say the way we treat farm animals is just like the Holocaust. That's right, I said the H word.
Don't make comparisons to Nazi Germany. That's like literally rule 1 in the political rule books. Nothing is like Hitler.
Think about it. Millions and millions and millions of animals confined in cages. Often these cages are so small they can hardly move, and they are all destined to be killed. They are prodded, they are debeaked.
The male chicks which can't be used for eggs are thrown alive into blenders. Industry can't afford pain control or love or compassion or anything human.
They are shocked, whatever it takes, to get them to comply with the desires of the humans.
Milk requires forced pregnancy. Not once in an animal's lifetime, but again and again and again.
And by coincidence, my next video is about how the Trump administration has been weakening the laws that protect animals, and they are even silencing some organizations. And I made many videos before the election telling you this bullshit was going to happen.
Now at this point in the video, there's probably some black people out there who are asking, am I comparing black people to animals? No, I'm not. Although it's interesting to note here that when slavery started in the U.S., white people justified enslaving black people by saying that these black people are not humans, they're actually a different species. And so it's okay. Who knows if they believe that or not, but it's not true. But people tend to divide using superficial differences. Humans do this naturally, and we should be teaching that humans do that, and we should be teaching why it's wrong to do that living in a society. This comment criticizes the author, criticizes their white privilege. Well, here's the thing with that. Sure, he has white privilege, and I've also been privileged to be white, but not as much as other white people. But that's for a different video. Yeah, I actually know what it's like to be black, but this author cannot help being white. I cannot help being white. I don't think that has anything to do with us speaking. You know, we're not the racist ones. We're on your side. And this author is correct. And almost every black person would agree with him that this co-founder of Black Lives Matter Toronto should be removed for saying what she did. She's crazy. She called the president of Canada a terrorist and a white supremacist because he said nothing. And that's not even true because he did speak up. The last sentence says, why not concentrate on the violence that your white peers are committing against black lives? Well, we do that, and I think he is doing that right now because the Black Lives Matter movement isn't just black people. It's a movement anyone can join. There are white people in it, aren't there? You know, see, I think black people are being racist by thinking that movement should be segregated. They want it all to themselves, but they're going to need white people. And it shouldn't matter if you're white. Which brings us back to Oscar. Would Oscar also say that animals don't need our human voices to help them get their animal rights and equality and freedom? Well, the only rights they got is from what humans have done to promote animal rights in the government, to force the government, to force the factory farms to change the laws, to change the way they treat the animals. And in the comments to that article, I found some black people, I know they're black, that agree with what I am saying here. Take a look at this. On Canada's Justin Trudeau, this black person says, I wouldn't call all whites complacent, like Trudeau was, but yes, it absolutely is terrorism. Your silence is equal to wielding the hammer. So, black people, should white people not be silent, or should they be silent?
What if I told you it will help our society to put aside your partisanship and actually say something kind about somebody that half the country supports?
Not Hillary.
No. Okay.
Vegans, raw till 4 vegans, racists, liberals, this one's for you. In a minute or two, I want to talk about the fact that there's so much hate between groups of people. Block traffic, get face fucked. And maybe why that is. Lately I've been getting a lot of comments saying that me and my groups are too hateful and it is hurting us.